Well, students, we're going to keep working on these Picasso portraits. I would like you to check to see what shapes need to be done on the face. And remember that you're going to paint with the opposite color you use with oil pastel. So I colored with cool colors, so I'm going to paint with warm. This is the last one that I need to do. Please do not splash your brush. Please don't bang it. Please dip it in. Wipe it off gently. You can see that I already used this orange. And I outlined this shape here, being careful not to paint on the black lines. We don't want those to get covered up. Then when I'm ready to switch colors, please wash your brush, wipe it off gently. And you can see that orange is next to yellow, orange is next to red. Orange can also go with pink. I'm gonna do orange and yellow. So I'm gonna kind of turn my brush to make sure that I get enough paint on my brush. I wanna be gentle to the paint as well. You can see that the paint is not filling up with water. And if I get enough paint on my brush, then when I paint this in, my oranges and my yellow are going to mix and kind of blend together. Now, when you move on to doing, so all the shapes on the face are done. When you do the hair, I did mine with brown, and brown we said can work with warm and it can work with cool. So that's why I'm choosing to do cool colors for my hair, because I have brown. So I've got blue-green here, so I'm gonna have that blue-green here. So I'm gonna use this blue. I'm gonna make sure to take a little of the water off of my brush. And I'm gonna take that blue, I'm gonna outline this shape. Once I outline the whole shape, I'll rinse off my brush, take the water off my brush, and we know the blue is next to green. I could use this other blue though if I wanted to. And if I'm gonna talk about doing blue and pink in a minute, even though pink is warm, if you put blue on pink, it'll turn it purple, and we know purple is cool. So I'm gonna take this green, and I'm going to fill this in, have the blue and the green blend a bit together. I'm gonna take a little of the water off of that, because I can tell it's a little bit watery. It's not quite as bright as I would like it to be. Usually adding a little bit more paint than water is the best way to go. Now, we'll move down here. Once I have the hair done, you can see I did do the shapes in the ears. I can move down to the shirt. Since I colored with warm colors, I'm gonna paint with cool. I did outline this with a dark green, and I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna fill it with a light green. So if you're using cool colors, you can definitely do dark green and light green, dark blue, light blue, to give yourselves a little bit more variation. So then I've got that one filled in. I'm gonna rinse off my brush. You can see that I've already outlined this one with green. So I'm gonna fill this one then with blue. That's going to make it a blue-green, kind of like a teal or a turquoise color, which I did already up in the top. For the neck, you can pick warm or cool. I'm choosing to do warm because this is a cool shape. So I've already outlined this with my yellow. And then I'm going to, or I've already outlined it with my orange. That's what I meant to say. And then I'm gonna fill this with my yellow. This is a shape I'm gonna save for the end. I'm gonna do some black there, and I'm gonna talk about that, because if you choose to use black, it does need to be your last and final color you use, because black can make the water really dirty, and it can make the brush so dirty that you can't get that you can't wash it all the way out. So if you choose to use black, it has to be the final color you use. Now, we're gonna talk about background. With the background, I would like you to paint the colors, the background with warm and cool colors. Typically a pattern works where if I did like warm, cool, warm, cool, warm. If you don't paint it in exactly a pattern like this student, that is okay. She does have some cool and some warm. The main idea is that you have a combination of warm and cool. This, since I've had students asking about green and yellow, I'm gonna use that for this shape. Green is cool, but if you put yellow on it, it really warms it up. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna use my green, I'm gonna go around this shape. And if I keep the green on my brush, then I'm going to be able to keep the paint more concentrated. So I wouldn't go switching colors all the time, because that's gonna end up taking some of that brightness out of the color. So if I stick with that for a while, and I do my outline with the green first, and then if I take it and then I skip it, where here I'm trying not to move the paint, I just heard it making a sound, so be more gentle. I'm gonna skip this one, so then I can take this and I can paint this one. Then when I'm done with this one, obviously I would work over and I'd paint this one, but in consideration of time and giving you more time to work, we're gonna pretend that I did this one up here. When I'm done with that, I can rinse off this and I can use yellow to fill this in, and then that would be my warm color, because the yellow warms up the green. And I do really love this color. If you just paint a line, then you pick up your brush, paint a line, pick up your brush. That's gonna keep your brush going the same direction. Even those are just like little lines. If you do prefer to go this way, you could paint down too. But just paint a line, pick up your brush. That's gonna keep the brush going in a point. If it starts to flatten out, then obviously get a little more paint or a little more water. Then here, we would paint this one in. I'm just gonna paint a line, pick up the brush, paint a line, pick up the brush. If you get a little bit of paint on the table, not a big deal, because we can end up wiping it off with a towel. Okay. So that's gonna be good. We'll pretend that I did the other side. Since this is gonna be a cool color, I am going to make this into, I could do like a dark blue, light blue. I'm gonna do a blue and a pink to talk to you about making it purple. So you could use this blue. I'm gonna choose to use this blue instead. And I would outline this. And instead of changing colors all the time, I'm gonna do this side too. Keep that paint nice and bright, keep it concentrated. Then we would come up, we would do this one too. And then we would do this side, but we're just gonna pretend that I'm done, okay? I'm really just gonna do one mix here. So once these are outlined, then I can take this, and like I said, I could mix this blue with another blue, but if I take the blue and I put a little bit of blue on the inside, it's really getting a little bit too watery. But if I put a little bit more blue on the inside and I start to mix it with this pink, it's gonna turn the blue into purple. Trying not to get that paint to move around too much. So then the pink and the blue go together and it turns it purple, and we know that purple is cool. And if this starts turning purple, if the pink starts turning purple, that means wash your brush off a little more. So I'm gonna just paint a line, pick up the brush. and then I would have my pattern. So I really should add extra layers of paint to this. So if for some reason you were to get the whole thing done, if it's dry, I would put like another layer of pink on the pink, or put another layer of blue on the blue, because if I add another layer to this after it's dry, it's gonna really brighten it up. Like I said, if you choose to use black, black will be the last thing to use. I outlined this one with blue because if you choose to do black with anything, do not do it with anything other than the dark blue. But black can go with the dark blue if you would like. But if you don't want to have to put on 2 or 3 layers of black paint, then I would not use black. So this is probably gonna end up drying a little bit more of a gray. So I've been talking to students about this. If you don't want to have to add 2 to 3 layers of black paint, then I wouldn't use black at all. If you end up getting done and you use black paint, I might have to switch you to a clean brush, where then you could go back and you can add an extra layer of paint to some of these colors, because like I said, black will make your brush really dirty. But if I add a little extra blue to this, it kind of blends that in better. So this one has a lot of black on it. This one took a long time to do because I'd had to add 3 to 4 layers of black paint. So if you don't want to have to do that, like I said, please don't use black. Pick some of the other colors, typically from here. This is really just used for the blue and the black and maybe the green. I wouldn't use the red out of this. You don't need to use the yellow out of that either. So let's have fun working on them.